something like this. This is gonna be fun.
Midsummer in the Midwest is hot.
We cruise at 60 miles per hour. And if you've ever searched for vegan breakfast items in a rural Kansas grocery store, it's a bit of a challenge. This episode is sponsored in part by Allstays, but more on that later.
Hey, I'm Anna. This is Jeff.
And we're Sweet Sweet Bus Life. And if you're new here, we travel the country in our self-converted tiny home on wheels with our family, saying yes to adventure and doing our dream.
We're here in rural Illinois, staying at a beautiful farmstead, and we are about to plan the next leg of our journey.
For the past few months, we've been preparing for a big trip, and we've had a huge checklist of things that we've had to work through. And usually we start planning our trip before we leave, but time got away from us, and that didn't happen this time. So we've already left on our trip that we have not planned for yet.
We were ready to get out of the heat. That's what it comes down to. Midsummer in the Midwest is hot. And so we were ready to move along, and that's exactly what we've done.
So when we plan these trips, we like to plan as short as possible, and that leaves us open to do as many things as we want. You know, if we're driving down the road and we see something cool that we want to check out, we can do that, and it doesn't throw off our timeline, and we don't have to stress about, you know, making a deadline and getting everything that we've planned out so far. And so in doing so, we try to limit the number of date things that we have to do in a year. And so for this year, we've only got one more thing that's on the calendar, and that's a wedding in October in Kansas. So that's kind of our guide. So as we're planning this, we know that we have to be back in Kansas in October. Other than that, it's wide open. When we were first talking about this, you know, we had a few different options that we talked about, you know, potentially going up into Maine and kind of doing a northeast loop. We did that a few years ago, and it was super nice.
Amazing.
The problem with that was we just didn't really have enough time left to do it justice. We would kind of be running the whole time. We wanted to travel a little bit slower this time.
We missed a lot of things on that trip, and that is something that we regret there.
That's right.
So we're not going to do that this time.
That's exactly right. And so then another option was to kind of go up into Michigan, go into the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which we absolutely love, and it's a great summertime destination because the weather is so nice. Yeah, as we get into fall. And then, and we've done that a few times. And then the other option was to kind of go up in this loop of just west of Lake Michigan. So hit Chicago, maybe go up as far as Milwaukee, over to Minneapolis. Well, I guess it's kind of up and over to Minneapolis. And then just kind of continue that loop back down to Kansas. And that's what we settled on.
Apart from aching to get out of the Midwestern heat, we had a list of things that had to get done before we hit the road. Not the least of which was changing our brakes, which we did ourselves.
Like with most projects, this one begins with dropping that cash. All right, we've got the wheel off the ground, so now we can start taking it off with this. Also, look how big this is. If you needed another reason to, in favor of bus life, it's so you can justify owning something like this. This is gonna be fun. What? Owning a rusty bus means dealing with stuff like this almost any time we have to make a mechanical repair. But that's okay. We love our rusty bus. All right. Yeah. Yep. Oh. and it's hot. Okay, so I got that off, the brake drum that is, and it was so rusted on there, as you saw. It was completely corroded to the hub. Who knows when they were changed last. We've had the bus 6 years and have known we probably should have done this from the beginning. So yeah, so now I'm into the brake shoes, so I'm going to take the old ones out and I can put the new ones back in. So this is actually my first time doing this. I've done it on our Jeep, I've done it on other vehicles before. I assisted one time on a semi-trailer, which is basically the same stuff. This is actually my first time to do this, so it was pretty easy. I didn't really know what to expect. Seems like it's a little easier than I expected, but it's definitely not a walk in the park. It's hard, but it's fun. Seeing the new parts next to the old ones makes it abundantly clear that we were due this maintenance. Alright, all the old brake components are off. I cleaned up the seating areas, the seats, I don't know what they're called, the little pins that the brake shoes rest on. Got those cleaned up, ready for the new ones to go on. Before I put the new ones on, I'm going to clean as much of this surface rust off of this hub as I can, because before we put the wheel and everything back on, we're going to paint these hubs just to protect them and make them look a little bit better. I was feeling pretty confident. Everything was cleaning up nicely, all the parts were accounted for. That is, until it was time to install this pin. No matter which way it went, it just wouldn't budge. So, I did what I always do when I hit a mechanical dead end. Hey Siri, FaceTime Scott Batterson. Question, these guys. How do I get these things in?
Okay, hit that with a hammer. Right on the end of that point, one good swack.
Here we go.
Give it a swacky. Not enough swacky.
I feel like that wasn't enough.
Swacky.
There it is.
Did you give enough Ugga-Duggas?
Enough Ugga-Dugga, look at that.
Oh, look at that, boy.
All right, well, thanks for the help.
Hey, no problem.
I'll talk to you later.
Glad I could help. All right,
See you.
bye.
Well, that was easy. By the way, Scott is my brother, and he knows everything about, well, everything when it comes to trucks and buses. All right, so while I've got this wheel off and all of this out, I'm going to go ahead and lubricate the suspension components and the steering components and everything on this wheel end, all these wheel end components, because it hasn't been done in a while and it needs it, and it's just a good time to do it since I already have all this taken apart. new shoes are on, new drum is on, and now, as I mentioned, I'm gonna paint this hub so that it protects it and makes it look a little nicer. And yeah, I'm gonna have to let that cure for a few hours before I put the wheel back on, but we're done with this side. All right, new brakes are installed, hubs are painted, everything's lubricated, got the wheels back on, and now I've got to adjust the brakes back, and then we're done. Man, it's so hot. All right, so if you're curious to how this works, this is the slack adjuster. The adjustment pin or whatever is right here on the bottom, and I'm gonna adjust that here in a second. So what I'm gonna do is adjust this out until the brakes, the brake shoes just come in contact with the brake drum. At that point, then I will back it off the other way a half turn, and then the brakes are set, or they're adjusted. These are automatic slack adjusters, so they will kind of automatically like adjust as needed, but they have to have a good starting point, and that's what we're doing right now. Oh man, okay. Brakes are adjusted. We are done. I am so happy to have this done. I mentioned it was hot. No, I'm really happy to have this done. We've needed to do this for a while and just haven't had the time and place to do it until now. But we've got it done. So now back to the route planning. Okay, so we know our rough timeline, and so now we need to figure out how many weeks we have between now and the time we need to get back, and we can kind of gauge how many hours per week that we need to move, and that'll help us kind of figure out how far we can go. So we have 4 weeks.
Okay.
Do you think we'll go as far north as Minneapolis? Okay, so going from here to Chicago, Chicago to Milwaukee, Milwaukee to Minneapolis, and then Minneapolis down to Oskaloosa, which, look at that, we almost go into Kansas City and then right over to there. Okay, so that is 1,168 miles.
Okay.
So we cruise at 60 miles per hour, and so that's what we use to calculate how many hours it'll take on average. So, okay, so 1,168 divided by 60. So that is 19 and a half hours. So 19 and a half hours, and we've got, I said 4 weeks, but let me actually see if that counts this weekend. 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, we have 5 weekends. Okay, I wasn't counting this week. Okay, so 5. So 19 and a half hours, divide that by 5, so that's 4 hours a week. That's easy peasy.
And we know our first stop we really want to be Chicago.
Chicago.
So that's 4 hours and 22 minutes, thereabouts, from here.
Okay. That works good. So we generally will travel 4 to 5 hours max in a day. And we try to keep that down. We try to keep down to like 1 travel day per, like on the weekend. That hasn't always happened. Sometimes we have to get somewhere and we'll just travel as long as we have to get there. But to be the most comfortable, we found 4 to 5 hours a day, and then, try to keep that down to just 1 day, or separate that 4 to 5 hours into 2 days. So 2 hours one day, 3 hours next, whatever. And then also, we want to travel a little slower, so we'll stay somewhere 2 weeks at a time. So we don't do that travel every weekend, and so we would use that same method to figure out how many hours that we would need to travel per time. But this time, since we only have 5 weekends, we're going to travel every weekend.
Yeah.
We're just not going to travel a lot every weekend.
Which I'm excited for.
Yeah, we'll still be able to adventure. Apologies for the harmonica solo coming from the back of us.
Yes, please. Our son was sent to his room and he's literally playing the harmonica.
Yeah.
Like he's in jail.
He's out back there playing the Folsom Prison Blues. Okay, so 5 hours, 4 hours per weekend. That's easy peasy. So we've got a little over 4 this weekend. That's easy. That's from here to Chicago. We'll stay there a week. Then from there to Milwaukee is only like, I think it's only like an hour and a half, something like that. Let me check on that real quick.
We could spend a couple days in Milwaukee. I really don't even know what's there.
I've literally never looked at Milwaukee.
So ignorant
Ever.
on that because I haven't even thought about it. I'm glad it's on this list because I know a lot of really good things.
And we've been all around it multiple times, but we've never been to it. We've gone to Chicago, we've gone up, into Minneapolis, and we've gone over from Michigan into Minneapolis, but we've never gone down that west side of Lake Michigan. So
And being that we built the bus with Milwaukee tools,
there it is, right there. I didn't see that coming. Okay, so I'm wondering how much we can go up the coast of Lake Michigan. That would be cool. Like we traveled the coastal highway on the west coast. I wonder if it actually doesn't look like they kind of have that. Looks like we can get close to it, but it doesn't really have.
I think we've.
So Minneapolis to Oskaloosa is 471 miles. So 471 divided by 60 is 7.8, so 8 hours. So we could do that final weekend. We could do from Minneapolis to Oskaloosa.
Okay. I mean, we could also visit Des Moines. They've got a nice little lake right through.
Let me see what. Yeah, how far is it from Minneapolis to Des Moines?
244 miles. 3 hours and 38 minutes.
60, so basically 4 hours for us. And then Des Moines to Oskaloosa.
221 or 228, excuse me. 3 hours and 30.
So about 4 hours. It's about 4 hours either side. What if was there anything specific in Des Moines that you were thinking of?
No, that's just the 35.
Because I'm wondering how much distance it may add if we went over to Sioux Falls.
Oh.
And then we could continue down the border down to like Sioux City and then Omaha and right down this line that you see right here.
Okay, so I have always wanted to go to Sioux Falls and Sioux City. And every time we've planned a trip, we've always skipped around that. I always see ads for it everywhere. I've read travel blogs of people that talk about the things they've done there. It sounds like a lot of fun, and it sounds really beautiful.
I'm gonna try this real quick and we'll see. So can you tell me how far it is from Minneapolis to Sioux Falls?
Yeah, just grab that. Okay, that's 236 miles.
Okay, so 236 divided by 60. So 4 hours. Okay. So then how about Sioux Falls to Sioux City?
It's an hour and 21 minutes, so it's 87 miles.
Oh. Okay, so
yeah, they're not
hour
far
and a
from each
half
other at
from
all.
us. Okay, then what about Sioux City? From Sioux City to Oskaloosa.
Okay, we're looking at 266 miles. 4 hours and 9 minutes, thereabouts.
So probably about 5 for us, 4.43, so about 5. Okay, I actually think I like that a lot. What do you think? We're cutting out Des Moines, which...
We'll have to catch the next time.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, there's nothing that I can think of that we were going to go and see right off.
This is cool. I'm excited. Oh, this means that we're going to go into South Dakota, which is a state we haven't been to in the bus yet.
Dakota.
We're just barely get into the little sliver of it, but it counts.
Just
Counts.
that.
Okay, I like that. I think that's good. I think that looks really good.
I think it's balanced too, and that's always important whenever we want to see things, because sometimes we add so much to our trips that it's impossible to get through it, and we feel shortchanged at the end. Especially if we haven't done as much research as we need to and see, oh, maybe that wasn't worth it. Like one time we went to Maine and we were just like, everybody was talking about this wonderful blueberry place, and if you've been there and you love it, I'm so sorry. We disagree. It was not wonderful. It was not awesome. Could have been the time of year because it was like late fall. We felt a little shortchanged. Didn't cost us anything, so it really was no big deal at all.
To be fair, she's talking about this particular like blueberry place. Not
Yeah,
Maine.
it has
Maine
like
was amazing.
No,
Maine was stunning.
Incredible. No, I'm talking about a roadside attraction type place, a tourist trap. It was cool. It had a little museum in there, but it was just kind of, like when you go to your grandparents' house and it's kind of like everything's covered in dust, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it was like their claim to fame were the Maine wild blueberries, and they had like a bunch of stuff in there for sale that was like
From
berries
Canada
and different things from like other places, which it's cool, but like you should be. And they did. To be fair, they did have some wild blueberry stuff that was made there, but like they had like this whole case of like chocolate truffles that were so cool, and they were like all blueberry themed and like all this stuff, and none of them were made there. They were from like Las Vegas or something like that. It's like it's not.
And we did get some jelly from there that was disgusting.
Yeah, that was. Anyway.
So the whole shortchange thing is what I was saying.
Yeah.
Go back to that.
So back on our checklist, the second thing to take care of were new tires and wheels all the way around the bus. We bought our bus, the tires that we had on our bus came with the bus. They were in excellent shape. They were starting to be outdated, so it was time to part with them and time to replace them. And so, I mean, they lasted us 6 years of travel, 6.5 years, and they did well. And then, so while we were at it, a few of our wheels were actually rusted out pretty bad, and so we decided to go ahead and invest in new wheels all the way around.
And you have been aching so hard to replace those. Yeah, he has been, since we got the bus, I want to replace those wheels. Well, he got his dream. You got it.
It just looks so good.
The crew at Pronto Tire wasted no time and jumped right in. Pretty soon, the old crusty wheels came off as these beauties watched from the sidelines. Can wheels and tires be sexy? You bet your ass they can. One by one, they made their way around, much like my last girlfriend, swapping the old for new. Oh my, what they lack in moves, they make up for in cuteness.
So you guys ever had anybody bring their house in here like this?
No, oh, every day.
Every day? Yeah.
No, I got a picture of it.
Campers, cars.
Before long, it was time to head into the office and square up. Another big maintenance item in the books.
Don't they look amazing? I'm so happy with them. Special shout out to the crew at Pronto Tire and Anthony. They did a fantastic job. If for some weird reason you find yourself in Anthony and you need tires, definitely look them up.
So we typically have two ways that we finish planning this. Normally we go and say, okay, these are the high points, the big cities, or whatever it is, and then create a map according to our desire on that. And then we go through and we can do where we're gonna stay, or we'll do the attraction. So say we're in Florida, we're going to Disney World, we need to stay in the wilderness campground. You know what I'm saying? And so this time though, we don't have a list of attractions, as I mentioned. So we are going to start with a home base first. So we'll find out where we're staying first, and then let the flower bloom from there.
Okay, now that we've mapped out our route and decided on our first destination, Let's take a moment to talk about the sponsor of this episode, Allstays. We've been using Allstays since we hit the road back in 2018, and it's still a crucial tool in our route planning kit. This iPhone app is a must-have for anyone living on the road, giving you access to over 34,000 campgrounds across the US and Canada. You can easily filter the results to find your preferred types of campgrounds. Simply type in your destinations and boom, your options are right there. Offline map lookup allows you to search even if you have poor cell signal. But Allstays isn't just about campgrounds. It also gives you access to crucial information like road grades and free overnight camping spots with over 500,000 map points. Start planning your trips today for less than $1 a week. Click the link in the description to download Allstays for iPhone for free and kickstart your next adventure. So we've got our city outline put together, so we know our first stop that we're going to look at is Chicago. So we're going to use the Allstays app for that, and we're going to go and see what campgrounds are available for us and make a list, and then we will go through that list and find out which campgrounds have availability, what the prices look like, and figure out exactly which one that we want to stay at. So our preference to stay at of campground types would be municipal campgrounds. Another good option for us would be the Army Corps of Engineers campgrounds. And then we like state parks, public lands, BLM, all those kind of things. And so we'll start by filtering those. So Allstays will actually allow us to filter. So I'm gonna do Army Corps, county and city parks. I'm gonna do national parks, which there aren't any where we're going, but public lands, also none of those I don't think. State, national wildlife areas, state parks. Yeah, and so that's what we will do and see what's available around Chicago. Okay, so there are several state parks. Let's start with those. Jot these down.
Also, don't forget the Indiana Dunes State Park. It's only about an hour from Chicago. Which
Yes, that's where we stayed the last time we were in that area too, which was pretty nice.
we're a little weedy.
Hey, what are we doing? All right, so our to-do list items are being checked off. We've got a good start on planning this trip. We've got our city outline figured out. We've got our list of campgrounds together. The next thing to do is to start looking at and talking about activities that we want to do and attractions that we want to go see.
We usually pick just a couple, like right off the bat, if you want to go visit a zoo or something like that, that's usually, that's a main point. Typically we steer more towards museums. We love visiting parks. We love sculpture walks. There's hikes, different things like that. And we'll just pick like one or two things until we get there and get a feel, and then we start really digging into, okay, I want to see this next. I want to go see this next. So.
Yeah. So we're going to start with Chicago, and I know right off the bat, one thing that we're wanting to do in Chicago is visit Kitchen 17. It's so good. If you don't know, it's a vegan pizzeria, and man, if you are vegan, or if you like vegan food, or if you like food, you really should check out
Highly
Kitchen
recommend,
17.
yeah. It'll knock your socks off, and if you don't have socks in, it'll knock your whole feet off. So
There you go.
the next thing would be Cloud Gate.
Oh yes. Cloud Gate.
If you don't know, that is the giant shiny bean.
You gotta visit the shiny bean.
You know what I'm saying? Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna take a look at Atlas Obscura to see about some cool
Weird things
to look at while we're there. Oh, yeah, we're just gonna have to do this on the fly. Look how many there are. Like there's like 104 in that one. Yeah, there's like an infinite number of like places listed on Atlas Obscura. So yeah, I think that we'll just those kind of things we'll just kind of handle like in real time when we're there. We'll just figure out what to go look at. And so we would do the same thing for the other cities.
We do that part closer to time.
Yeah, we'll do those closer to time because we want to, we don't want to plan so far out, as I mentioned earlier.
That we have no wiggle room.
Yeah, exactly. But speaking of attractions and activities, the last thing on our checklist, and it wasn't technically on our checklist, but we added it because, so we've been in Kansas for a while, and it's been really hot, like over 100 degrees every day for weeks, and there was a freak cold front that came in. It was actually right after we finished changing the tires and wheels and brakes on the bus. And there was this freak cold front that came in over the weekend, and we were like, let's just drop everything and go on a little mini trip. It's kind of a shakedown trip, make sure the tires and everything
was good.
brakes were good, all that stuff. And so we did just that. So today we're gonna go check out the Greensburg well, which is the largest hand-dug well in the world. Well, not right now, we're in the grocery store trying to find some breakfast items. And if you've ever searched for vegan breakfast items in a rural Kansas grocery store, it's a bit of a challenge. Babe, do you know how to tell if someone's vegan?
Well, they'll tell you, obviously.
Give them about 5 minutes. It's up to you. Well, our breakfast round was a success because, surprisingly, we found non-dairy yogurt. So we got yogurt and cereal and fruit and juice.
And some tomatoes.
All right, let's go check out the world's deepest hand-dug well. This was unexpected, but they also had on display one of the world's largest palisite meteorites, which was pretty cool to see.
Water, and the steam is captured using it to power the train. It could take hours to fire up the steam engine. See how it works by looking at the diagram. Here, let me hold you up. A lot of people using Route 66 and different things, traveling in their vehicles, they wanted to make some more money.
We believe the world is our classroom, and when it comes to teaching our kids, we lean heavily into that principle. So visits to museums like this are a great opportunity for us to learn as much as we possibly can.
Let's like twist it up and pull to the side. Looks like new growth on the bottom. You know these schools?
So construction of this well began in 1887, and it was originally planned as a water source for the railroad. There's a railroad that runs nearby, and they needed the water for steam engines. However, shortly after, the town kind of went bust, and so the railroad, while the railroad still continued through, it was no longer a stop along the path. That is until the 1950s, when the town was struggling, and they decided to open this well up for tourism. And they opened the museum, and and the town saw a surge of tourism. And then in 2007, the town was struck by an EF5 tornado that leveled the town. And so efforts to rebuild the town went underway, and they rebuilt this museum along with that, and leaving us this really super cool museum that we have today. Greensburg's story is one of tragedy. But it's also one of resilience. One of perseverance. One of literally pulling yourself from the rubble to rebuild and look toward the future. With the help of Greensburg Greentown, a nonprofit organization created to help the residents learn about and implement green living, a city council resolution was passed that stated all buildings in Greensburg would be built to LEED Platinum standards, securing long-term green living and a climate-focused future. So if you made it this far, thanks for sticking around and seeing how we kind of plan these trips. I know we didn't go into super detail on every bit of it because we don't really follow that much of a structure to be able to detail every single time.
This is the structure.
This is it. We like to plan it in real time. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and also go ahead and subscribe if you want to keep up with our journeys as we go and do our dream.
Because this is the beginning of the next travel section.
That's right. As always, thanks for watching.